cloud. And I think you should just hit accept and we should be recording. Mary, would you like to take it away?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Doug, for hosting us. We love coming and speaking with IACT. We've come at times when Fairfield was in class and presented also there, which has been fun. And it's wonderful to have Winston here, who is an alum of Fairfield and has a very exciting product and made a ton of progress in developing his company around this. So I'm going to do the boring part of this presentation, and then you're going to have some fun to hear from Winston, and then I'll come back and give you some more kind of logistics things. But thank you very much for joining us today. The name of the program that we run with the support of CT Next is the Accelerator for Biosciences in Connecticut, or ABCT. So this is the 7th year of the program, and we run on the academic calendar, so it's the 2024 program, even though it's 2023. And the program, here, let me not go too fast. You know, one of the things we ask people every year is, what would you recommend about the program to someone who's applying in the coming year? So the 2023 ventures, who just are wrapping up on Thursday, said first things, program structure and content. Networking is second, and third is the learning. And this changes. It's not always the exact same every year. Sometimes networking is number one, sometimes coaching is number one. This program structure and content is changing, and you'll see some of the reasons why. There's been a lot of change in the program structure over the last couple of years, and you'll get a sense of it. But quotes from people in 2023 are on the side. You can get a sense, you know, everybody's experience is going to be different because people come in with all different innovations. There's no competitive innovations in the program. So this isn't going to be a program where everybody's trying to solve diabetes or wound healing. So it's a big a spectrum of innovations that come into the program. To give you a sense of what networking is like and how customized this has become, this is a digital health company, and then we'll share a company that's doing some testing. And what we're trying to do is give a sense of who they're connecting with from the cohort. Quite a number of people. This person was very motivated to connect with other people from the cohort, corporate supporters. So we've spent a lot of time trying to recruit corporate supporters who have expertise. So Moses Singer is one of the drafters of HIPAA legislation. Wigan has a lot of experience in Connecticut working with startups. Wilson Sonsini is the first in the country in IP for the life sciences community. And then a lot of different mentors for this particular venture. They were selling, so they work with the former head of Aero Electronics, the VP of sales. They came from another country, and so they worked with an accent coach, and they work with another organization that had also come in from another country and was trying to figure out how to run an operation between Australia and United States. This particular founder is running an operation between Paris and United States. So, and then you can see all of the people who were able to be connected with the participant through what we call virtual office hours. So that's after speakers present, they have a chance to meet with the individuals who've been in the virtual workshop. And you can see the variety of people and organizations. So, and as you can see, there's almost no overlap, except a couple of corporate supporters between this medical device slash a cancer cell diagnostic platform and the digital health. So it just gives you a sense of how much more customized we've been able to get in the last several years. So that's part of the program. The networking is supported by a group of people who are advisors to the company and additional corporate supporters in accounting and in private wealth management and commercial banking and medical device design and medical device regulatory and digital health regulatory, as well as some pharma organizations, some of the top ones in the world. So, I mean, just to give you kind of a overview, we've been at it 6 years. We've had a chance to work with almost 60 ventures who have completed the program. And most of them are pretty small. They're one-person operations. Sometimes they're two. There are over 100 patents that have been filed. They've raised about 120 million at this point. I think one of the surprising things is how many people are generating revenue and how much revenue is being generated and how many employees are being hired. That's something that Connecticut cares a lot about. But we love to see the advancement. So, you know, this is a group of people who's very motivated. They have a real focus. They have new ideas. And what I'd like to do is just have Winston talk a little bit now. And then we can kind of come back to some of the logistics of the program so that, you know, you have a sense of what the program is from someone who's actually gone through it.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Winston DiMartini. I was a student at Fairfield University from 2016 to 2020, and I'm the founder and CEO of Business Sense. So to give you a little bit of background about Business Sense and kind of what we do, we're a medical device and software company within the digital health space, and we're specifically focusing in on telehealth physical therapy rehabilitation. We basically create smart shirts paired with other smart clothing, making innovative, user-friendly, clinically accurate electrodes and human motion capture systems that are actually embedded within the shirt itself. And we pair this with the software to help decrease the rate of recovery and decrease the re-injury rates that patients see when performing telehealth physical therapy. So I began the company during my senior year at Fairfield, where I was one of the winners of the Fairfield University startup competition. And after that, I actually won a small R&D grant from CT Next and the University of Bridgeport to begin the R&D on our innovative sensor technology. And that was during the stage when we were about to apply to the ABCT program. So at that time, we were a perfect fit for the program because we were finishing up our initial R&D efforts for the technology, and that we already vetted out the initial market and had market traction with future customers. So basically, we vetted out the commercial need and validated it through our own market research, which made us really key applicants and really helped us, in my opinion, to actually win and get into the program itself. So some things to keep in mind when applying to the ABCT program is really showing that you have one, initial customer traction, and two, showing you have a large commercial opportunity that's been vetted and validated through your own personal market research with customers that maybe you tested the product with, or you did your own market research with a bunch of different people, whatever it may be, but showing that is really important. And basically having that will really set you up well for getting into the program. So for instance, when we applied to the program, we showed that we already had very large digital health and technology companies that were interested in testing our prototype technology. And we're able to show that various companies have already displayed interest in potentially licensing and partnering with us down the line. Additionally, showing that you've done your initial market research and vetted the product is extremely important. Having a working prototype isn't necessary, but it definitely is helpful to get into the program. Like, for instance, when we got in, we were still working on developing out the initial tech. So we didn't actually have a fully functioning prototype, but it's not necessary. So about the program itself, in my opinion, one of the most valuable things that the program offered was the mentorship and coaching of the program. So at the beginning of the program, you will be assigned a coach, and basically this coach will work with you personally in really small teams, about like 2 to 4 people. And you'll work with them about every week for maybe 2 to 4 hours, depending on the coach and your needs. And they were really critical when developing the product and understanding the business and all of that type of stuff, because you work with them a lot. So they know your business in and out, sideways, they know everything. So if you ever have an extremely technical problem with either the technology, some portion of the business that you're trying to figure out the finances of your business, you're trying to raise money, or maybe you're trying to make a P&L, right? Even if they aren't experts in that field, they will happily reach out to other people within the program, or if they know someone from their own personal network that may be an expert within the field that you're trying to look for, they'll reach out to them and they'll bring them in and network you with them. So it was a really valuable experience with their mentorship and coaching program. And lucky for me, I had 2 of them actually throughout my time there. So it was very interesting seeing multiple opinions about the business, the prototype, everything. And on top of the great mentorship program, ABCT, they bring in really top-notch companies, especially for their seminars. So for instance, they'll bring in companies like Pfizer, the Hospital of Special Surgery, and JP Morgan, to name a few names. And honestly, these seminars are fantastic for networking, as well as learning from really high up people within the industry, whether you're working on a medical device or doing something for surgery or biotechnology. And honestly, I learned a lot during a lot of those seminars, and they're worth a lot to go to. So I highly recommend you go to them if you do get into the program. And essentially at the end of the program, all of this culminates into a final 2-day pitch event. And this is basically where you're going to pitch your newly formed idea or your more advanced idea now, since you went through the program, to investors, people from ABCT, and everyone outside that decides to come and watch. And it's a great experience. So overall, honestly, it is a great program, and I personally had a really great experience with it. I made a lot of progress with my company and really developing out a more technical side to me during the program with my mentors. And I would highly recommend the program to anybody that's thinking about applying to it. So with that said, I wanted to open the floor and get any questions from you guys or anything like that.
Thank you so much, Winston. There's a lot that you can say about this and about your product. I don't know if anybody has any questions about that or where you are right now, but yeah, it'd be great to get some questions from people.
I got a question. Winston, could you say a few words about the product itself?
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, we're creating a smart shirt that has embedded EMGs and also motion capture system. It's an IMU sensor. And we're innovating the software behind the sensors themselves, as well as the usability of, say, like the EMG electrodes, because usually they're wet or gel, which you can't really embed into a shirt. But the
I'm sorry
ones,
to interrupt, but there may be people who don't know EMG is electromyographic
oh,
and that IMU is inertial management unit. I'm guessing people don't necessarily parlay in acronyms, so you might want to be careful with that one.
yeah, so basically EMG is a muscle sensor. It senses your muscle contractions, and IMUs are essentially sensors that sense your motions and movements throughout your exercises or day-to-day activity. And we're pairing it with a software, especially with artificial intelligence, that can use the data from these two sensors, where we can create artificial intelligence algorithms as well as machine learning algorithms to potentially predict and reduce injuries before they even occur in patients, as well as keeping track of progress remotely through telehealth physical therapy, which is a pretty hard thing to do in the current state.
Yeah, hi, Bill. Bill Caltagirone here. Can you tell me the cost of the shirt? What's the cost of the shirt itself? What are the cost of the sensors? What's the total cost? Who manufactures and assembles the shirts and sensors?
Yeah, so we're still working on the technology with it. So we have a few prototypes, but it'll roughly cost about $150 a shirt. There's CPT codes that we can bill for when we get it FDA certified, and we really begin testing it with larger customers. It's their remote physical therapy and remote therapeutic monitoring codes that will help drive down the price too.
But where are you going to have manufactured? Is it going to be US? You're going to ship it overseas or what?
The US, yeah.
And do you have an idea of what the relative cost of the sensors are? In other words, the scientific engineering part versus the cloth of whatever, of a sweatshirt or, and again, yeah, I just happen to be connected with a sports shirt company, and I'd be interested in pursuing that issue.
Yeah, I still have to work out the costs of it at scale, but you're probably looking at around 50-ish dollars to maybe 60.
That's actually what a regular good sweatshirt costs, 50, 60 bucks.
Yeah.
I mean, there are junk ones that fall apart, but and what would you propose to sell it for?
Probably around 150, because we also can have the Medicare reimbursement codes that we can apply and things like that.
Yeah, it seems like if it does what it says it can be done, and it could be prescribed, an insurance company would pick up a good part of it. God, why not $250 a shirt?
Yeah, we haven't really played around too much with the price, but it's something we can always go back to.
Yeah, well, I'd like to keep in touch with you guys on that when you get further along and get ready to roll.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, good.
So Winston, what happens if you throw it in hot water with bleach?
Yeah.
Great question. I don't know about the bleach, but I do know about the hot water. So essentially, the entire thing is washable. There's two designs we're playing with right now. One of them is a little less user-friendly than the other, where you'd have to remove some of the sensors from the shirt, but it would sort of increase the lifespan. The other one, you leave everything in the shirt, you just throw it into the wash. So it is actually all washable, which is pretty cool. I designed it as a mix between a research grade device and a commercialized device that any consumer would have, basically taking the middle ground of creating a clinically viable device from an accuracy point of standard, but with the user friendliness of a more commercially viable device.
Can these shirts measure range of motion improvements during physical therapy?
Exactly, yeah. We can do range of motion, really any kinematic movements that you want, we can do. And we take progress reports with them too. We keep track of all the data analytics.
What kind of microcontrollers are you putting in these things?
Yeah, we are still developing the overall design of it, but there's again 2 different designs we're playing with right now. It's a pretty powerful microprocessor that we're using, but we're using like an analog front end, but most of the actual sensor processing is in the software side in the cloud, because it's just, there's a lot of pluses with that rather than embedding it directly into the processing of the device.
How much money have you spent so far on your venture?
Honestly, I have no clue. To give you an honest answer. Yeah.
Do you know when you're going to bring your shirt to market?
Rough idea. Hopefully, we'll be able to raise a seed round within 2 years. And our goal is a very large seed round for that too. And we think we can do it based on our initial customer traction.
Can you talk about your competition?
Yeah. I mean, right now, I'm trying to apply to a National Science Foundation grant. I applied once, but they wanted for us to build out our team before they actually funded us. So right now, I'm trying to build out the initial team, basically an embedded engineer with digital sensor processing experience, and AI machine learning person, and 2 software people. And we've identified 2 out of 3 positions so far. We're still working on the embedded engineer.
Doug, you have anybody there for that embedded engineer position?
Oh, who me? Well, that's a good question. I don't really know what kind of expertise is needed in terms of the microcontroller. It sounds like you might need something involving Wi-Fi and Bluetooth both, and maybe even app development, because it sounds like you need an app for this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so far we identified, we have 2 people from a large pharmaceutical company that lead the software on a medical device that one of my friends actually sold them. They're the ones that are going to be doing the software. We have 1 person to do the digital sensor processing and the artificial intelligence from a research sensor company. And so the embedded engineer basically would just have to do the circuitry within the processing unit itself. And that'd honestly be the largest portion, and do some low-level coding to get it all functioning and get high quality data from it.
Can you say a few words about what Fairfield University's degree did to help you prepare for this venture?
Yeah, so I studied marketing with a concentration in digital and social media, and I studied management with a concentration in entrepreneurship, which I think those 2 majors honestly really helped me prepare to market this company as well as sort of run the company itself. I think the biggest portion of Fairfield that really helped me was Fairfield Startup Competition. That's basically their like Shark Tank style event that they have every single year. And that's where I formed the idea and initially had the concept and really vetted out the market need for it, and then kind of took it from there after that.
I shouldn't be the only one asking questions. Someone else should be asking questions.
Okay. Hi, Bill here again. Basically, when you get your product ready to go, what type of marketing are you going to do? Going to be internet? Is it going to be direct mail? How are you going to pitch the product? May it be through some professional, maybe orthopedic surgeons magazine, something of that nature? How do you basically want to have potential buyers become aware of what you have?
Great question. Honestly, for us, it's a little bit different since we're going B2B route. And the businesses that we're targeting are extremely large physical therapy chains, very large hospitals, and things of that nature. So honestly, word of mouth and networking is our main form of how we plan to initially expand the company. I already have a couple of contacts that we plan to sell to once we have the final product, and they've all said how they're ready to introduce me to other very large contacts that they also have when I have the product ready. So word of mouth and networking is basically how I plan to go about it, just because of the circumstances of the business to business side of it is. But I know if, like, say you're trying to go business to consumer, it'll be totally different with a lot of marketing spend and things like that.
So with the B2B, I'm sorry, I missed the first part. It's large hospitals and what else?
Large physical therapy chains, large
Okay.
hospitals, and large digital health companies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will any of those guys come up with any money to help you develop, possibly in exchange for equity?
Yeah, possibly. We have talked to a few of them about that roughly. They're interested for sure. Yeah, no, it's interesting when it gets to that conversation.
Yeah, so I assume you're a subchapter S, so you can get other people in there.
Yeah.
At the risk of getting into the weeds, how are these devices powered?
Battery, lithium ion batteries.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, lithium ion batteries that's embedded in a core. And there could either be multiple smaller cores within the shirt that are like kind of the size of a 50-cent piece that you'd have to remove, or there would be one larger core, and that would be the only thing you would have to remove for, say, a wash.
I wonder what would happen to reception if a person wearing this sweatshirt began to sweat. Might that cause some sort of electromagnetic induction from one sensor to the other? Might it cause a short?
No, because of the, well, I mean, yes and no. The way we're designing the electrodes and the other sensors are in a way that wouldn't happen if a person sweats. And it actually could be a plus if it did happen.
Does anybody else make anything quite like this?
There's a few things. See, there's a big gap in this space, honestly. You have the very research grade products such as like Delsis, Xsense. So Delsis does research grade EMGs, Xsense does research grade IMU motion capture. There's some a little bit more user-friendly ones like Hexoskin, and basically there's kind of like a big vest that you put on, which is uncomfortable to everybody who uses it. And it's more mainly for like research opportunities and serious applications. And then there's like the really commercial side to it, where the sensor accuracy suffers, but it is very user-friendly. Like, for instance, it feels just like a shirt or an arm sleeve or whatever they're trying to make, but the accuracy isn't there. So there's a very large hole in the middle of all of this area that we're filling.
Do sensors have to make contact with the skin like they would if you were doing an EKG, where they stick it on your chest and that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a big engineering problem that we're solving and have solved through the electrode. So the big problem is removing that sticky gel from it, because it basically, if you remove it, there's a lot of noise in the signal, which creates really poor signal because it'll move on the skin. It'll just create a lot of friction, which is bad. But the electrodes that we're developing will potentially prevent that, and also combining it with a compression style shirt will help stabilize it on the muscle / the skin. The IMUs don't really have that problem. They kind of are their own separate thing, but yeah.
So when you measure EMG, electromyographic signals, don't you need a biogel that interfaces the sensor to the surface of the skin in order to pick up the small electric signals?
Yeah, it's not completely necessary. It's there just to help really get a very accurate signal. Again, the problem when you remove it, then you get into the territory of, is the signal accurate anymore? Basically, we've created an electrode that doesn't need that gel, is almost essentially a textile, and we can do multiple different layers of it to help increase the accuracy of the signal that's going through it.
Would the,
I might know someone that could be perfect for working on that. Don't know if he's interested. I'll check it out, and if there's interest, I'll refer him to you. And I'll just leave it at that. But the particular individual could be perfect. I know he's a little unhappy with his current employment situation and is thinking of retiring, and might look at something like you're doing as fun.
Awesome, that would be fantastic. Yet we're basically trying to build out the initial team to get to our pre-seed rounds and then to the ultimate seed round. And we're basically offering equity within the company to do that. And so far we got 2 out of the 3 positions filled, and it's that embedded engineer that we continuously are trying to get, but it's been a little difficult.
How much are you trying to raise?
Yeah, so the pre-seed will probably, ideally, I would want to get a non-dilutive funding from NSF, and I feel like we will be able to raise that because of the positive feedback that I got from them when I applied last year from them. And then the seed round, I would like to raise a minimum of 3.5, which would set us up very nicely to scale the company.
yeah, that's not nice, but what are you doing to pay guys right now who are with you? And it always
Right now?
Yeah,
Yeah, so right now, the 2 people, well, in the past, I had part-time engineers that I just paid out of my own pocket with. The new people that are coming aboard currently, the 2 software engineers and the AI, ML, DSP, digital sensor processing person, they're all getting equity within the company. I want to motivate them a lot, and the company's valuation could be upwards of 8 figures by the time we hit the seed round. They all believe in the vision of the company and see the potential, especially with the network and contacts that I have that are interested in the company. So they've all been interested working just for equity currently and getting paid once we get to that pre-seed and then seed round.
that's always a tough one, particularly here in the Northeast where it's so expensive to live.
Yeah. I mean, so also I don't need a full-time person currently. So they're all part-time people. So they're continuing their job at the large companies that they work for, like the pharmaceutical company and the research sensor company that they work for. So they're essentially doing this as a part-time job currently just for equity. And then once we get to the seed round, they would most likely come aboard full-time when we pay them full-time salary, benefits, etc.
Have you thought about using a freelancer website like freelancer.com?
Yeah, I've used that a little bit, mainly like Upwork and stuff like that. I've used that for some of the technology development. I like them. I think they're good. But currently, especially with the National Science Foundation feedback, they want to see a full team that is dedicated to the company. So that's the way I think we should go from here. But those places like Upwork and freelance.com are fantastic for doing really any kind of work.
So I was an NSF program reviewer, a panelist. Turns out for the SBIR program, they have a criteria which is not necessarily healthy for the company. So they will give you advice, but my advice is don't listen to their advice unless it makes sense to you. So if bringing on people and paying them with equity at this point sounds too expensive to you and you'd rather do it with freelancer.com, that's the way to go, because you don't necessarily, the equity is too expensive at this earliest stage, in my opinion. You'll be paying people to the point where you're not, it's not your company anymore. You're giving away too much company too early. I think that's what it will cost you. And in the long run, you know, you're probably better off with freelancers.com, because they're just going to be working for a day's pay for a day's work. And often the day's pay is pretty low. That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally get that opinion. And it's been a struggle to find people, but also I think it really depends if they believe in where you're going with the company. Like, for instance, the 3 people that were in the process of onboarding, they really weren't that bad to deal with, if that makes sense. And honestly, it's worth the equity that we're giving them. So I think it really depends on the right person. And I also think if you have the opportunity to bring someone on that has the perfect experience and has done something exactly like this before, that could really elevate this product easily to the seed round and beyond that, I think it could be worth it, you know?
Yeah, it's got to be really tough. How many times do you give out, 3 or 5% of equity and eventually lose control of the company? I mean, hey, it happened to Steve Jobs, right?
Yeah.
Crazy. Or I have people, bugging you all the time for results or what's the next step and so forth. Time wasters.
Right. But yeah, I mean, currently, basically their plans with us is pretty reasonable. So it's worth the money after I did a lot of cap table type things.
So when you, because it's not going to be that much longer. I mean, we're already halfway through 2023, right? You're going to be in the market. How do you, who do you see as the first customers of this? Who are they?
Yeah, honestly, digital health companies first would be major customers. And then that would be followed by major hospitals and large physical therapy chains that take it up. And then after that, we would want to scale into some other industries.
Okay, so when you say digital health companies, which ones are you thinking?
Yeah, so there's like your normal physical therapy type companies, Sword, Hinge Health, those companies. And then there's obesity companies, and they pair really well with exercise tracking and workout tracking as well as therapy. So the combination of basically obesity, digital health, and also regular physical therapy, digital health work well together.
Super, got it. Okay. Interesting. Do you think that you'll be able to, where will you manufacture this when you get to scale?
Yeah, still in the US. We have we have 2 manufacturers currently that we're working with, and they're very good at what they do. And I like their price point and also the product that they give us. And I think as of right now, we're going to stay with them. I mean, later on, we may switch up and change to someplace else. But currently, they're doing pretty well. And I like what they're doing.
That's great. That's really good news.
Winston, do you have a sample product you can hold up so we can see what you're building?
Not with me currently. I don't. I wish.
Very good. Well, we may be wrapping things up. What do you think, Mary?
Yeah, I think we've been really treated here. You know, I was talking to Winston about talking for 10 minutes, but everybody really wants to know more about what you're doing, Winston. Understandably, it's really fantastic. I think about so many people with neuromuscular issues that might also benefit from this. You know,
Yeah.
from Parkinson's and ALS to autism, and you know, there's just so many possibilities, you know, once you get this thing rolling. It's great.
Yeah,
So
like tracking all
yeah.
that.
I'm sorry to ask, but maybe it's an interruption. It says ABCT is now accepting applications for the 7th cohort. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is you need and when it is you need it?
Yeah, no, thank you. You know, Winston was talking a little bit about that. It helps if you've got an idea and a little bit of data to validate this idea. You don't have to have a final prototype or be in manufacturing, but to get somebody else to say that, you know, this idea is hold some water and will make a difference and nobody else is doing this, that's important. So the applications are rolling. If you go to abct.com.co, I'll put that in the chat. You can look at apply and you can find the application right there. And the applications are open right now. We have a workshop that we hold about once every other week on to help people understand how to apply, because it's not intuitive. You know, there's a lot of things that reviewers want to know about, and that's not necessarily clear what they're driving at. So we have a 1-hour workshop where we kind of run through some of the questions. So that's all again on the schedule, the program schedule for ABCT. At abct.co, you can find and log into or sign up for these info sessions. And, you know, that's, we welcome if anybody's interested to learn more, or, you know, people who have an idea and they're not here, but you think they ought to follow up. I just put my email in the chat, and just have them email me directly, and we'll talk with them about the program and answer any questions they have. People often have a lot of questions because nobody's in the same position. So, you know, it's a really legitimate question. You know, is this the right time? Is this, you know, is this a program for me? What can I expect to get out of it? So, you know, we encourage people to apply this. Well, one of the things we did, we found out that if we made the coaching a little bit longer, people made a lot more progress. So we extended that part of the program. And then we started adding, as Winston was talking about, a lot of webinars. And there were so many webinars, we thought, look, we really want to not have so many in the spring. And so we started the rolling admission to especially help people who, you know, have, you know, could really benefit from looking at some of these issues a little earlier. So if you can apply by September, we can get the screening done and you can be in and ready to go to the October training that we hold before we get going with spring. And then it seems to be a little bit more reasonable for people's time. If you can just spend 2 days in October, think about some things, and then get going in the spring. It really helped the schedule a lot.
So just to be clear, the training is training in order to help people apply?
Yeah, I'm not being clear. Thank you, Doug. So there is a workshop that we hold this summer for how to apply. And then we are encouraging people to apply by September so that we can review your application and admit you so that you can start the program content curriculum in October. So we really encourage people to get in their application by Labor Day. That'll allow us enough time to screen and get you in.
And is this a virtual workshop or is it an in-person workshop?
It's a good question. The bulk of it is virtual. I mean, what we found, we ran the whole thing virtually during the pandemic, and we love meeting in person. So we'll meet once a month now. We started that again in Connecticut in March of 2023. And we will continue that to meet monthly in person. And that's a great combination because, we publish the schedule ahead of time so you can tell, what late afternoon, early evening you need to be available. And then you get a chance to meet some people and get to meet other people from your cohort. A lot of fascinating entrepreneurs in the program and meet some of the mentors. And but most of it is online.
And what is the amount of funding people can expect?
Well, we don't provide funding. We are teaching people how to raise funds. This program is one where there's no guaranteed funding coming out of it. What we try and do is put you in touch with people who can help you kind of work your way toward corporate partners or to funders, whether it's something like the SBIR or toward some foundations or toward some other programs, like the CI proof of concept fund that they provided. So, we try and connect you to people who have some funding and give you some insight so you can write a strong application for those.
Gotcha. Very good.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Doug, you're gonna post this as a video on the website?
Yep, we're recording it all. And I wanted to say a few words about the next speaker. But before I do, I hope everyone will join me in thanking Mary and Winston for the presentation. Thanks very much. That was great. This will be recorded and posted to the Inventors website. And if you guys would like to tune in on the 25th of July, we'll have Helena Escalante at 5 p.m. She's a TEDx speaker, an international best-selling author, a certified copywriter, and she runs EntireGurus.com. Helena Escalante's got her own website, and I will post some more information about that. It'll be for our next IACT meeting. And so unless there are some final questions, I want to thank you again. And thanks everybody for coming, and we'll be posting this soon.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Winston. Nice
Thank
to
you.
see everybody.
You all. Thank you so much.
Have a
All right.
good evening.
You too. Everybody have a good evening. Bye-bye.